Hello, what is up, YouTubers, gamers, and hobbyists? Welcome to another take a look at Warlock, the fighting fantasy magazine. Now, what do I got to say about this? I know, sorry about the pause there, but I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. What can I say about this second issue? Well, first published August 1984, still under Penguin Publishing, so it's under Penguin Books. The cover art on this issue is by Peter Andrew Jones, and this is his depiction of Sharila. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's Sharila, the Snow Witch from Caverns of the Snow Witch. It's a good example of how important fighting or fantasy artwork in general was before video games. Really, I could depict these worlds visually. So the other thing I have to say about this cover is this cover alone would have sold me this magazine. Now, an interesting thing you have here in comparison to the first issue is this, as far as I can tell through my research, this is the first example of the official fighting fantasy logo ever used. As far as I know, this is the first time it was ever used. So this is a piece of history right here, which is now famous. This is branding history right here, baby. So, but let's take a look at the back cover as well. Again, this beautiful I don't know what you call it, advertising. Sorry, it's late now. More beautiful advertising for fighting fantasy books. We have Fighting Fantasy number 6, number 7, and of course the introduction to Fighting Fantasy 6, Death Trap Dungeon, and 7, Island of the Lizard King. Both of those were by Ian Livingstone, or Livingstone. So personally, I mean, I've heard people say Death Trap Dungeon was hard. I found it quite relatively easy. I found Island of the Lizard King very easy, but we'll come on to the books in their own video all in good time. So now let's look at the magazine itself. So, thrilling new adventure in the ice caverns of Alanzia. Now that would be the caverns of the Snow Witch. But we also have part 2 of Warlock of Firetop Mountain here. But anyway, right. So here we have an interesting advert on the inside cover. Your adventure does not have to stop at reference 400. Did you know that a whole range of multiplayer games exists which take you beyond the solo game world of fighting fantasy? Games like Dungeons and Dragons, RuneQuest, and Traveller offer their players new worlds of adventure. Look at that, look. White Dwarf is the magazine dedicated to role-playing games. Now, we know that's no longer the case. Each month it features articles, scenarios, cartoons under departments such as Fiend Factory, the Creature Feature, Treasure Chest, and Magical Miscellany, Open Box, New Games Reviewed, Critical Mass, Science Fiction Books, Micro Review, Computer Gaming News, and of course our own comic characters, Gobbledygook and Frud the Barbarian. Sadly, White Dwarf is no longer like that, and I will try to track down some old White Dwarfs, but unfortunately, at the moment, my budget is such that I cannot. But I really, really, really want to cover these Warlock ones first, because there are only 13 issues. So, I'm just going to say this introductory here by Ian Livingstone, Steve Jackson, is quite cool. I won't read it all, but dear adventurer, all of you who have been eagerly awaiting the second issue of Warlock will probably read quickly through these opening words. having waited patiently at the top of the stairs for a month or so after perilous ordeals with the undead. The completion of your Warlock of Firetop Mountain adventure will be your first objective. However, for the survivors of Firetop Mountain, or for newcomers to Fighting Fantasy, a new challenge awaits you: Caverns of the Snow Witch. Written by Ian. Once again, you are set off on a dangerous quest, but this time to Icefinger Mountains in the frozen north. We would like to thank all those people who have sent us encouraging letters. We are still sorting through the part, and so they're addressing the readers directly here. That's a nice touch. Very nice. So, I mean, this magazine in good condition. White Dwarf, 85p. Ha! You reckon? Out of the Pit. Yeah. Out of the Pit gets bigger compared to issue 1. So the monster section has expanded massively. Okay, look at this. Look, got 100 monsters encounter listings here. That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Drawn from the game books and the sorcery series. Not forget the sorcery series. So these monsters will do later appear in Out of the Pit. So yeah. It's almost like watching Out of the Pit being assembled in real time. So you could see some of these here, like, I don't know, Fishman, and you might encounter him in a separate Fighting Fantasy book along the way. You'll say, I remember that. Out of the Pit. I do love this. This was very, very important for anyone wanting to create their own adventures, which, you know, why wouldn't you? Really, really cool. We got here. Okay, Warlock Profile number 1. First creator spotlight focuses on Peter Andrew Jones, one of the great artists. So yeah. So this gives readers really a look at the scenes, behind the scenes, one of the artists shaping the visual identity of Fighting Fantasy. Nowadays, we'd watch it all on YouTube or something, but in 1984, this was how fans found out about people behind the artwork. Articles and profiles such as this. Brilliant. Tells you about his techniques. For most of his work, Peter uses acrylic manufactured in the USA and oil paints obtained from Europe. Nice. Very nice. Sam, Cars and the Cuckoo. Not all Fighting Fantasy game books are based in the traditional world of orcs, dungeons and wizards. Steve Jackson's Starship Traveller journeys to alien planets and peoples beyond a black hole, while Ian Livingstone's Freeway Fighter, to be published in the next few months, will be entering the dangerous life of a post-Holocaust future. Here to give you a taste of things to come, a story set in a similar scenario from Australian writer Gareth Nix. It's a bit Mad Maxy to me. This is Gareth Nix before he was famous. So it's a short story. What we've got here. Sam, Cars and the Cuckoo. Right, okay. Right, now we've got the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, like part 2. So you get to continue on your adventure, I guess, if you were playing through that one. So we'll have just a quick look through here. Get to the conclusion, which is nice. You get more of the artwork here. Beautiful. I love this art. Was just amazing. For me, as you know, a boy at the time, I used to sit and look at this artwork for hours. And I used to play the games through over and over again. And I so wanted to create my own, but I never did get around to it. You got all the listings here, look. Brilliant. Nice. I love this picture with all the books and scrolls in the background there. So that's just great, isn't it? Wow. Yeah, that really is something. And here, Caverns of the Snow Witch. How to fight creatures of the ice caverns. It all looks pretty standard, the same sort of stuff you find at the beginning of any fighting fantasy novel, book, sorry. So, but this is a strong point for the magazine, really. I mean, here you got to see an early preview of a future fighting fantasy adventure. So, Caverns of the Snow Witch, which I did get, of course. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a fighting fantasy book at the time. Of course, it did become one, which is nice. Here's the classic adventure sheets that you get in any fighting fantasy book. Now, I would be tempted to photocopy these, print them off, because the ones you get in the inside the books, they're just so small. I used to just write it out on a blank sheet of paper because it's not that much to keep track of. You could have just a blank sheet with skill, stamina, just for your encounter box. That's all you needed for that. And this was your character sheet here. And then were your stats, just those three: skill, stamina, luck. That's it. Your equipment: gold, jewels, potions, provisions remaining. Provisions, of course, gave you stamina when you lost it. Kind of like hit points. There's your background to it. And the Caverns of the Snow Witch. Going back to, I was just thinking, my thoughts are running across the White Dwarf magazine here. Isn't it interesting how later Warlock itself would be published by Games Workshop? At the moment it's Penguin. So this is really, really interesting. This is where it gets interesting. So, but I think at this point, you're at issue 2 here, you're in a strong position. And I always felt that I was in a strong position with the magazines. I felt it was going to be a magazine that was going to steadily grow and grow and grow. Look at that, beautiful there. And I did. I was so gutted when it concluded, but there you go. So, looking at this magazine here, this adventure here, let's see how many numbers it goes up to. I suspect this is not the full adventure 2. I really don't. Which would make absolute sense. I remember that picture, actually. Yes, she is. Right there. Snow Witch herself. Yeah, it's only half the adventure here. Okay. Cartoon competition. Look at that. First prize £100. 5 runners up of 20. If you fancy yourself as a cartoonist, here's your chance. We're looking for a strip of not more than 20 frames, black and white only. Strong, funny central character set in a fantasy world. It can be based on the wizard whose spells go wrong, but no wizard of ID clones, please. A gormless creature, or even the trials and tribulations of being a monster. No doubt many other possibilities will occur to you. The choice is yours. Rules, and it's just got the rules of the competition. Well, cartoon competition token. Wow. And here we have an advertisement on the last cover, the back cover, for the Seven Serpents, which was game book number 3 in the Steve Jackson Sorcery series of books. It says there, coming from Puffin soon. Sorcery books were kind of like a more complicated, more adulty version of fighting fantasy. They were harder, I felt, but there you go. And that, my friends, is Warlock issue 2. Now, so I got some final thoughts. So comparing it to the first issue, issue 1 I guess felt like an experiment. Issue 2 feels like a magazine finding its feet. The monster section is definitely bigger, and there's a creative profile which was nice, and a preview of future fighting fantasy book, and of course Firetop Mountain, which is its conclusion. So at this point it feels like Warlock is starting to become more than just a companion magazine. And I can remember thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna have so many of these magazines, you know, cluttering up my bedroom. How wrong I was, you know, sadly. But as far as I can tell, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you know the answer, but my research shows this is the first official look at the official logo of Fighting Fantasy, because the first one didn't have it, but this one did. Now, if you were to ask me now, which magazine would I prefer, this old one of Warlock or the new White Dwarf, I would say this one, because White Dwarf is just solely concentrates on the tabletop game of Warhammer, whether that's 40k, Age of Sigmar, or whatever. This features, at the moment, it's mainly the Fighting Fantasy magazine, which is what it says there on the label. But I would prefer the old versions of White Dwarf, because they covered role-playing games and other games. Why wouldn't I like that? I feel sad that White Dwarf changed and became something else. I really do. But maybe, as I said, maybe I can track down some of these older ones, and we'll see. We'll see. So there you go. That is Warlock, the Fighting Fantasy magazine, issue 2. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, thank you so much for watching. Please give it a thumbs up if you can. Helps me continue making more of these, and I will see you in another video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.